actually be going to Kaiser SDMC, if you can let the RP know as well, code 30.
It probably sounds a little morbid, but I love that I get to actually go out and help somebody in the worst moment of their lives.
Got to the first fire, and after they kind of got a little handle on things, they handed me the nozzle and let me get in there, and then we went to another one that night, another one. I remember just doing 60 miles an hour down Revolution and riding backwards and showing up, and everybody looked at us like we were their heroes for putting out the fire, and to me I was like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. And
my favorite part of the job is the unknown. I think it's an exciting job. I'm definitely not one to sit indoors all day long and do the same thing over and over and over again. And I would say that, along with having the ability to work with the guys that I work with, as much as I won't tell him in front of his face, basically he's like a brother to me. He's a friend.
it doesn't matter whether it's a routine call or a complex call. At night when we're woke up, or even during the day when the tones go off, our body doesn't recognize the difference between it being the most rare, obscure, high-stress incident versus a routine incident that we've been on hundreds of times.
Hardest part of the job is probably separating yourself emotionally from what you're having to deal with and trying not to bring it onto your family life. We see the worst of the worst every day in people. When people call 911, that's the worst day of their life, and we have to deal with that constantly, and trying not to let that affect you and trying not to bring it into your family, and just kind of shutting that switch off when you go home at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's probably one of the hardest things to do, especially when not everything we see is great. We see a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of families being torn apart because of that.
Unfortunately, we can't predict what we're going to do, but we have to adapt to it, and so you have to be able to persevere. Because unfortunately, we don't have anybody beyond us to call. We have to solve everything.
I'm a child abuse detective and work missing persons, so seeing cases where there's child victims who necessarily can't either defend themselves or maybe articulate what's happened to them is kind of a tough thing.
When I'm here, 100% of my focus is here. And although we have downtime and I can kind of, to an extent, handle things that are going on at home, I can't. When I leave, my wife she's running the show at home. And she knows that unless it's a dire situation, I'm here. And I think that the focus needs to be here on the job, because worst case scenario, I could die doing it. So I think that having my head in the game here and making sure that I know what's going on and all my focus is here spent on the job, it does have effects at home. So we've seen this in the past. We've got guys here on our department that have had divorces for multiple reasons. But I think in public safety in general, so law enforcement and fire, divorce rates tend to be a little bit higher. And I believe it's because that there is a separation. We do work long hours, and that there's a lot of attention spent here on the job.
Mentally, if I'm ever having an issue with a case that I'm working or any problems I'm having, I have a counselor that I've talked to before. Physically, I try to get out and do some sort of physical activity, whether it be hiking, fishing, running, or some type of working out in some fashion. Socially, I love hanging out with my family and friends. I have a 2-year-old and a wife, so I don't get out of the house much with household duties, but anytime I can get out of the house and have fun, watch sports, it's very helpful.
Part of working out is not only staying fit for the job, but it's also relieving some of the stress.
Actually experienced life in full circle on one shift, where we started out with a delivery and ended with a fatality.
A lot of different aspects of the job that I enjoy and why I got into it. Probably the first one would be the most kind of cliche one that I think everybody would say, which would be to help people.
Been here for 20 years now, and I still look forward to coming to work every day.